Reconvene into open session. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Out of closed session by a vote of 3-1, with Trustee Garcia voting no and Trustee King being absent, the Governing Board of King City Union School District has moved to reassign a principal to the classroom for the 2026-2027 school year. That is all for out of closed session. We will now go ahead and move on to recognition.
All right, so this evening, we are recognizing our employees of the year that are chosen by their respective school sites. So we're going to start with our classified staff this evening, and if our administrators from Delray could come forward. Do I remember correctly, is Isela here this weekend or this evening? Okay, but I'm sure you would like to speak to the strengths of Isela Delgado as a paraeducator at Delray.
Good evening. I would like to speak to Isela Delgado. She's been a para-educator at our site for 7 years. She works closely with our RSP teacher to provide small group instruction for special education students. Isela takes initiative to support our students. She is innovative and dedicated to working with them. Her small group management skills are remarkable. She always, and the reason why she can't be here tonight, by the way, is she's at school. She received her bachelor's degree in world studies from CSUMB and is now enrolled in a master's program for public administration at California State Northridge. So she's a great paraeducator at our site. She builds relationships. She was one of the first IAs to get trained in 95% to be able to support our students in reading. So please give her a big round of applause, even though she can't be here.
Thank you. All right, next up for Santa Lucia is Amy here this evening. All right, perfect. So Amy Sandoval, paraeducator at Santa Lucia.
Congratulations. All right. Amy Sandoval works in one of our SDC classrooms. She works with our littlest students, our TK and kindergarten students. She works hard and is somebody that can be depended on. You don't need to ask Amy if she loves her job. You can see it every single day. She takes her job seriously, truly cares about the students, and comes to work with a great attitude and willing to help out in any way that she can. When I shared that she was chosen for our Classified Employee of the Year, I told her the reasons why. When I let her know I really appreciate how she shows up like she loves each day, she confirmed, I do. In fact, she shared with me that the work she gets to do has inspired her to go back to school and work on becoming an SDC teacher herself. I'm excited for a future that includes people like Amy that are passionate about helping kids with some of the greatest needs in our classrooms. She's an amazing asset to our school site, and we thank you so much.
You see me?
Hold on for a picture, please. Congratulations again, Amy. All right, for Shalom Peaks. Miss Reed, are you here? There we go. Veronica Gonzalez. We have so many faces. Is Veronica here this evening? Well, please come share a little bit about Veronica, a paraeducator for us at Shalom Peaks.
Good evening. I'm super excited to be able to talk about Veronica, who is our paraeducator who assists in our speech classroom. So she works with small groups in our speech room. She's very organized and she's timely. Most importantly, she's a great communicator. So when working with staff or students, she's always on top of things and ready to set out whatever she needs to tackle for that day. She sets very high expectations for herself, students, and staff, and she follows through with those expectations. She is always smiling and very pleasant to be around, and she even goes out of her way and assists with our career fair communications when we need the extra help. So I'm super excited to honor Veronica.
For our King City Arts Magnet, our KCAM campus, our paraeducator of the year is Miriam Arellano. Is Miriam here this evening? There she is. And Miriam is also going to be our district nominee to the county competition for paraeducator this year.
We are very excited for Miriam tonight. Miriam is an outstanding special circumstances paraeducator at KCAM. She's been with the district for longer than most of us have. She's been, I don't even know how many years. 32 years. 32 years. She really knows the culture of our district and our school. And that's very helpful to our families who are coming in for the first time. She's really able to help them. She does the same thing out in the community. She's very much, she's a community member, has lived here for many, many years, raised her children here. And she really is a great example of what it means to be a paraeducator in King City. She's super helpful to me, everyone she encounters, including the students, other classified staff, teachers, and parents. She's very flexible. Like I ask her, oh, hey, can you keep those kids in the cafeteria 5 minutes longer? Sure, no problem, and anything. And in addition today, she translated for an IEP, very last minute, and we needed some help. She stepped right up. She never says no. If anybody has a request for her, she does her job very well, and she has helped her colleagues to improve their practice as well. Miriam is a fixture at KCAM, and we are so happy to have her as part of our staff. She is very deserving of this recognition, not only at the KCAM level, but at the district level, and hopefully at the county level, and we congratulate her tonight.
Thank you, Miriam. Ms. Singh, you might as well stay right there for a moment. All right. So in the category of Technical Classified Employee of the Year, we have our library technician from KCAM, Kathy Lopez, who will also be moving on as our district nominee for that category. Is Kathy here this evening?
So Kathy, she is so wonderful. I asked a lot of Kathy at the beginning of this school year. I asked, I wanted to bring some new things to KCAM, and I wanted to change things up a little bit, and she jumped right on them. She's stepped right up and made everything happen. When we started the school year, I really wanted to bring AR to KCAM. It had been a little pockets at KCAM, but not a district, not a school-wide initiative. And she, along with the rest of the AR committee, has really made it happen. She spent a lot of time researching the program and how to make it run right, how to set goals for kids, all of the behind the scene work that has to go into setting those AR goals for kids. And she's worked closely with our teachers to ensure that they know the ins and outs of this program, and it's running very smoothly. She guides students to pick books that are at their level so that they can be successful in AR. They also are allowed to pick one book of their choice too, so she helps guide them with that. In addition to that big request of AR, I really wanted our youngest students to get to the library twice in a week. She completely rearranged her schedule to allow our TK, K, and first grade students to visit the library twice a week, check out 2 sets of books a week, and it has definitely increased the amount of books that our youngest students are reading. She had this schedule for years and years and was like, okay, yeah, we can change this. We can make a difference. Let's see. It really instills the love of reading for our students to let them have these different books twice a week. So Kathy is very deserving of this recognition, and we appreciate all that she does for KCAM and for the district, and we are sending good thoughts for the county. Congratulations.
Okay, now moving on to our Teacher of the Year employees for this year. So from Santa Lucia, we have our 3rd grade teacher, Mrs. Carrie Serpa.
Yeah, okay. This one's, the staff chooses and helps us decide who is going to be our Teacher of the Year. But I have worked in 1st grade and 3rd grade with Carrie, and so I can verify all the things that were said are absolutely true. Carrie leads with kindness and empathy. She's always there to listen to her peers and her students. When she experiences challenges in the classroom, she always remains calm and handles situations from a place of love. She's very thoughtful. She is the kind of teacher who makes a lifelong impact on every student that steps into her classroom. For many, Carrie is more than a coworker. She is a friend who always checks in on others, brings little gifts that tells you that she's thinking of you and anything you might be going through, as well as bringing snacks for her grade level meetings. In a world where kindness can sometimes feel like the exception rather than the norm, Mrs. Serpa is there to remind you what at their best people can be, and maybe what some of us should be more like. So thank you.
All right. Ms. Singh, we're returning back to the KCAM campus. So for this school year, the KCAM staff has selected Susan Glau as their Teacher of the Year.
Okay, yeah. I don't know where to start. Actually, I do because I wrote it down because I knew I wouldn't know where to start. We are so happy to have Susan at KCAM this year. I can't even tell you. I don't think we've ever nominated a teacher in their first year at our school for Teacher of the Year. In fact, I can't ever remember that. But Susan definitely deserves it. She is an integral component of our TK program, not just at our school, but across the district, and has really helped us design an effective, compassionate, developmental transitional kindergarten program. She's highly knowledgeable about the best practices for our youngest students, including conscious discipline. She spent a whole week with us learning all about conscious discipline and has really integrated the best practices from that program into her classroom. She shares all of that knowledge with her TK colleagues across the district, including her one that she mentors currently, who's also in our TK program. We asked some of her colleagues what some of students' strengths were, and these were their comments. Susan has returned to TK with a passion. She is enthusiastic, knowledgeable, and organized. She also finds time to mentor others and engage in a positive way with all staff. One other person says, Susan shows compassion for everyone, but especially her students. She's a great listener and very positive with her colleagues. Her patience is admirable as well. As soon as you walk into her classroom, you instantly feel warm and fuzzy welcome. And that is 100% true. So Susan loves TK so much, she was going to retire after 1 year, but decided that she couldn't retire after just 1 year. She's going to be joining us again next year, so we're super excited. Susan is an outstanding teacher, and we are very, very thankful to have her on our TK team, and she is very deserving of this recognition. So thank you.
Hey, Mrs. Reed. For our Shalone Peaks Middle School Teacher of the Year, as well as the county allows us to send a middle school Teacher of the Year and an elementary Teacher of the Year. So for our middle school Teacher of the Year representative, Miss Errol Henry.
Ms. Henry has been on our campus for a while now, and it was really fun. Our teachers also nominate and contribute to the Teacher of the Year. And the amount of comments that we had from Ms. Henry was super fun to put onto the nomination form. I can't tell you how many times she goes above and beyond appeared on each person's comment. She definitely does a lot, not only for our RSP students, but for all the students on our campus who are in need academically, socially, or just struggling with some life moments. She's there for them, advocating for our students and working with teachers to make sure that those needs of our students are met. She also does a wonderful job supporting our staff. So if there's ever a need for someone to jump in and help out, or if there's a hole of something missing, she's like, I can do that. If somebody hasn't stepped up yet, I can do that. And sometimes we have to tell her no, because we don't want to burn her out. I think that one of the things that is best about Ariel is that she cares very deeply. Very caring and nurturing popped up a lot as well throughout our comments about Ariel and why she deserves Teacher of the Year. She's very compassionate, but she's also passionate. So she brings in that empathy and then also that drive for what's best for students and making that quite a presence on our campus. She's always doing her best and going the extra mile. She's very helpful and approachable. She is extremely flexible, and she builds strong connections with our students. She gives them a place where they feel safe, and they also want to be there, which I think is valuable. She is a great mentor and a great leader, and we are very honored to be able to have Ariel as our Teacher of the Year this year.
All right, Ms. Davidson, back to Delray. So this year, Delray has selected Ms. Melissa Sinney as their Teacher of the Year, and Melissa will also be representing the district as the Elementary Teacher of the Year nominee.
We also vote for Melissa. She's been with us for 13 years, not Delray specifically. She's actually taught at Santa Lucia, right? How many years, sir? But most as a dolphin. Right? All right. So things that were shared with us, Ms. Sini is an excellent teacher who supports and advocates for students. She holds her students to rigorous and high standards for behavior and academics. Her classroom runs smoothly with solid routines and procedures that support student learning. In addition to this, she works tirelessly to create a fun learning atmosphere for her students. She has a very calm demeanor and exhibits patience, kindness, and understanding with the most challenging students. Ms. Sini helps our school in many ways. She's a leader. She volunteers extra hours. She's a member of our student school site council. She represents second grade on our leadership team. She works on district standards based learning committee and also the new district special education PLN team. So a round of applause to Melissa Sini.
Thank you again, Sites, for selecting your Employees of the Year. It's always a wonderful event when we get to recognize them here at this time. And then the next celebration will be in May for the entire county.
Congratulations to everyone that received an award today. It's an honor to have you guys be part of our district and our family. So congratulations to you guys again.
The same congratulations to, I know most of you guys, I've had the opportunity to work with you guys in one or another capacity, so congratulations, and it's a pleasure to have you guys, and thank you guys for being part of our Keene City family. Thank you.
We've had the privilege, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, to have both elementary and middle school win over at the county level. So we wish you all the best for our both elementary and middle school. Because again, we've done it before, we can definitely do it again. So congratulations to all of you.
I also want to say congratulations and thank you, and also good luck. Hopefully you guys also win. But yes, thank you. I know I've worked with two of you actually, I believe. So thank you again.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to public comment. And I believe we have some, you have some? Okay, go ahead, Cinda. And then if you can also keep track of time.
Can you hear me? I have 3 public comments to read that were submitted to the district anonymously that were requested that they be read tonight during the public comment section. From concerned staff, parents of Santa Lucia School, dear Superintendent Jennifer Taylor and members of the board, we, the staff and parents of Santa Lucia School, are writing to formally express our deep concern and request clarification regarding the abrupt mid-year reassignment of our principal, Mrs. Kushta. While the recent Parent Square communication framed this transition as a reassignment to a new position, the circumstances witnessed by staff and the subsequent impact on our campus suggest a far more troubling reality. We are seeking transparency on the following points: contradiction in performance and outcome. Under Mrs. Kuchta's leadership, Santa Lucia has recently been recognized in board meetings for high academic achievement. It is difficult to reconcile these accolades with the decision to remove a leader mid-year. If this move was indeed a promotion or a positive transition, we are concerned as to why Mrs. Kuchta appeared devastated and was reportedly restricted from addressing her staff to ensure a smooth handoff. Did this board not just 2 years ago decide that Santa Lucia, under the leadership of Mrs. Kuchta, was the perfect place to start a new DLI program? This was no easy task and decision, so what changed? Why is her leadership now in question? Procedural concerns and transparency. Following the review of Public Records Act CPRA requests, it appears that there are no formal complaints on file against Mrs. Kuchta. Furthermore, we are concerned by reports of the board member conducting an independent investigation. It is our understanding of standard protocol that investigations are the purview of the superintendent's office, not individual board members. We request clarification on the authority and justification behind this process. Impact on school operations and student safety. Since Mrs. Kucha's departure, the daily operations of Santa Lucia have suffered significantly administrative strain. Our remain site administrator appears exhausted and overwhelmed. While outside support has been provided, these individuals lack the site-specific knowledge necessary to manage our unique student population effectively. Student conduct. We have observed noticeable increase in student incidents and decline overall in campus morale, which directly impacts the learning environment. Special education compliance. The absence of consistent leadership has affected IEP meetings. Bringing in substitutes who do not know our students' histories or specific needs compromises the quality of support our students receive. Staff morale and urgent necessity. Staff morale is currently at an all-time low. The hush-hush nature of the transition has created an atmosphere of uncertainty and distrust. We deserve to understand what urgent matter required Mrs. Kuchta immediate removal before the conclusion of the school year, especially given the disruption it has caused our children. Santa Lucia thrives on stability and the strong relationship Mrs. Kuchta built with student families and faculty. We believe this mid-year change was not the best interest of our school community. We look forward to a prompt and transparent response regarding these matters and a clear plan for how the district intends to restore stability to our campus. Sincerely concerned staff and parents. Second letter. Dear Superintendent and school board members, I am writing this letter in response to the abrupt dismissal of Mel Kuchta as our principal the day before winter break. It was an emotional day as students and most of my colleagues were unaware of what was happening, nor why she did not return after the break. It was stressful not to be able to say goodbye, and different rumors were spread explaining why she was not returning. The staff at Santa Lucia has been a second family to me for many years, and since that Friday, the morale has been low. I am sure you have your reasons, but we still do not know the reason for Mel's dismissal. I have only witnessed her abilities to lead with our students' best interest in mind. In my opinion, she has been supportive throughout the last several years as both assistant principal and principal. I have always felt comfortable in approaching her with concerns or issues. She is respectful and has consistently shown compassion and understanding. Additionally, she has developed meaningful relationships with students and staff. For these reasons, I am having a difficult time understanding why she was required to leave so abruptly. Since we have returned from winter break, the stress of not having Mel at our site and having only one consistent administrator on site can be felt by many. While Mike Jones is a very competent leader and I respect his efforts to do all that is expected of him, he is being expected to fulfill the duties of two administrators. I appreciate the help and support of those that have stepped in from the district office, but is not the same as having the M&M team, Mike and Mel at Santa Lucia. I feel it is having a negative impact on the energy level of teachers, support staff, not to mention the behavior of some of our more challenging students. As you move forward and make decisions that impact our superstar family, I feel it is important that you hear from staff and hopefully the parents of our students as well. I am disappointed in the matter that Mel Kuchta was removed from our site. However, I am confident that you will listen to all our concerns when making further changes. Thank you for your time. Respectfully, a concerned superstar teacher. Last comment. Dear Superintendent and school board members, I am writing regarding the removal of Principal Mel Kuchta. I have had the privilege of working for Mrs. Kuchta during her time as an administrator. From the moment she started as vice principal, she shows support and encouragement towards the teaching staff. Many of us instantly felt supported when it came to student behavior, as she was prepared to really address the issues and support her teachers. As principal, she encouraged me to try new things, take on new roles, and help me work through various challenges. Many of the things I have learned and the skills I have required stem from her encouragement. I have seen Mrs. Kuchta build incredible relationships with her teachers, but most importantly with our students. I have witnessed special handshakes she creates with students who need an extra person in their corner. I have seen students who struggle with behavior or run to her office so excited to share that they had a good day. I personally have had students who was so excited to share with her that his math score improved by 2 grade levels. Unfortunately, she was unable to say goodbye, and now we are the ones having to pick up the pieces when students ask where their principal is. Since Mrs. Kushta has been gone, Santa Lucia hasn't felt the same. Santa Lucia has become the talk of the town, and we can't show up to work without hearing the latest rumors. The morale for many of us is at an all-time low, and some days it's difficult to come to work. I have seen students who weren't major behavior problems before the break become increasingly more difficult to manage. In my opinion, this has a lot to do with the removal of Mrs. Kushta. Although the support of other district administrators is appreciated, I believe that the lack of consistency is having a negative impact on the students. I believe that everyone is doing their very best given the circumstances, especially Mr. Jones. However, the behaviors that have happened since returning from the break are alarming. A teacher has been hit by a student just for that student to be returned to the classroom roughly 30 minutes later. It has taken 3 to 5 adults to handle one student. A teacher has had to have an administrator available to go to their classroom almost daily over destructive and disruptive behavior. Again, the people who are here are doing their absolute best, but the fact is that this is what's occurring. Unfortunately, the board made this decision that not only affects Mrs. Kushta, but all of us at Santa Lucia. I have also noticed that, to my knowledge, not a single board member has come to Santa Lucia since returning from the break to see how things are going. So my question is, how can such a big decision be made when there is no care for what happens after? Thank you for your time, a concerned teacher.
And I have Corey Kucha.
Buddy, I'm Mel's husband. I spent a lot of time reading district board policies, studying government code and the Brown Act. Based on my interpretation, I believe the board and superintendent violated many policies and regulations in the process related to my wife's reassignment and demotion now. I prepared a detailed speech to make it clear what I thought was violated. The district did not even attempt to provide my wife an opportunity to respond or any due process. From what I have gathered, there is no policy or code that prohibits the district from doing so and allowing an employee an opportunity to respond. Therefore, I can only conclude that it was by choice that this board purposely prevented it. If my wife was allowed to respond, I know for a fact she would have held herself accountable for her mistakes, if there were any, and stood firm on issues she was not responsible for. Issues could have been addressed and corrected as they would have under normal circumstances. My wife is a fantastic person, a professional. She's rooted in principles and will own her mistakes. After seeing and understanding what an unconditional commitment letter is, I realized that my speech on violations would have no impact. As typical in government, rules are adopted, but ways to ensure that government cannot be held accountable when they don't follow them are also adopted. It's rules for thee, but not for me, and a complete lack of accountability. In my opinion, this lack of accountability is a big part of what is destroying our country, our state, our local governments, and our schools. The issue of principles, integrity, and accountability is a big part of the reason we're here. My wife operates with these things. She operates with principles, integrity, and accountability. It seems to me that the majority of the board does not. Therefore, there is a complete misalignment between this board and my wife. She doesn't fit their narrative, and they can't respect her as herself. Tonight, it's clear, with all the commentary and everything I've heard, that you will continue to carry on with no accountability to do what is right for the students, the staff, the parents, the education, or my wife as an employee or a fellow staff member. You will continue to do this until this community decides they've had enough. Thank you.
Is there any other members of the audience wishing to speak on something that is not on tonight's agenda?
I'm reading this for someone that was here earlier. Oh, let me find it. Good evening, members of the board and superintendent. I asked a friend to help me read this letter to you as I am a mother first, and I have to be home with my children. I have proudly served this district for 8 years. During that time, I believed so deeply in the mission and the heart of this district. I have loved being part of this community so much that I now bring my own children here. Tonight, I stand before you with a heavy heart. I was one of the individuals who hesitated to speak publicly out of concern for potential repercussions. But the recent decision to remove Mel from Santa Lucia and now demote her has left me feeling deeply saddened and profoundly disappointed. This decision feels uninformed about the real day-to-day ins and outs of our school and the true impact it is having, most importantly on our students. What I am witnessing is heartbreaking. Students who once had a safe, trusted adult to turn to each day are struggling. Children who felt secure and supported are now experiencing emotional meltdowns. Without sharing private details, I can say with certainty that the shift in our school climate has been immediate and painful. The consequences are real and they are unfolding before us every day. The school board should care about the students and the impact their voice has on them. I simply do not think that is what you as the board are doing. I also want to acknowledge that Mr. Jones is doing everything he can to support students and staff. He is working tirelessly and doing a superb job under incredibly difficult circumstances, but he cannot do it alone. Removing Mel has created a void that cannot simply be reassigned or absorbed. Those that have helped to supplement in the absence of Mel is amazing. However, they don't have the same rapport that Mel has built over the years with the students. What makes this even harder to understand is that there have been 0 formal complaints presented to justify such a severe action. To see someone treated this way without clear cause shakes my confidence, not only in this decision, but in what it says about how we value the people who pour their hearts into this district. I have loved working here. I have believed in this district, and I have felt I would retire here. But I would be dishonest if I did not say that this situation has caused me to question my future here and my children's future as students in this district. Our children deserve stability. They deserve thoughtful, well-informed leadership decisions. They deserve adults who are treated with dignity and fairness. And our community deserves board decisions that reflect the values that made so many of us fall in love with this district in the first place. I truly hope that moving forward, decisions are made with greater transparency, deeper understanding of school-level realities, and genuine consideration of student impact, because right now, this does not reflect the district I committed myself to 8 years ago. Thank you.
Is there any other members in the audience wishing to speak on something that is not on tonight's agenda?
I'd like to clarify that when you guys came out of closed session today, you said that a staff member was being demoted, correct? I guess that answers that, even though she said it and mumbled it when she said it. I really feel like you picked the worst day to do that. Put her down while you're lifting everybody else. How inconsiderate, not only of her, of them, to have to sit here and now listen to us fight for our principal. But not one of you, anybody here, has reached out to all of us parents and staff members, community members who have been attending the last 3 meetings now to address our concerns. You can't even stare at us when we're speaking in the last 2 meetings, and all of a sudden, when there's a crowd, you want to look up. Yes. Remember, body language is included in the board guidelines, so with your looks like that, it's not reflecting very well, but do better. At this point, I'm not alone when I say that a notice of intention to petition for removal of specific board members is not going to be going out, is definitely going out this week.
I would like to take this opportunity to express my gratitude to all of you who have gathered here tonight. on my support. I cannot convey my appreciation for my support. I did this earlier. I wish the remaining staff were here to support, but they're afraid, and I understand. I am extremely proud of the job that I did. Thank you, Sean. As principal at Santa Lucia since 2022. Although I'm not perfect, I know my performance was more than satisfactory. But since I was demoted, here's what I'm going to tell you I did. Yes, I said demoted. Thank you, Terry, and shame on the rest of you. I have consistently done my job, and I've done it well. I have consistently shown kindness, loving care towards my students, my parents, and my staff. My approach has always been to treat everyone under the leadership and compassion of the accountability. I have enhanced the school culture. I've established site safety for the safety of my kids and my staff. Through joint efforts with Ms. Hall, we've revitalized our student council. Sorry, this is going to take a minute. Their voices and activities. Engagement is on the high. Test scores on the high. SDC, 37 points of gain. Our budget in excellent standing. Successfully met district, state, federal deadlines. And I have diligently focused on reducing absenteeism. Furthermore, the last I'm most proud of is that I have received or exceed standards on my evaluations. In my 26 years, I have never had a formal complaint or a grievance filed against me. But I do have a board that had a personal agenda and friends in this district. I'm not going to continue on. All I want to say is that if this is what demotion looks like, you're looking at it. After everything I have done, I am being demoted. And that I will never, ever understand, because I have shown and proven what I have done in this district, and I'm proud. I have nothing to hide at all. And I assure you that I will stand with my head held high. Do better, King City. Shame on you guys.
If there's any other members of the audience, please make your way to the podium.
Good afternoon. Hi, it's my second time here in front of all of you. I come to explain again, and now I listen everything I know now. I want to say something. And I have two things. Maybe sounds terrible, but it's something to say in Spanish. La lengua es un arma muy peligrosa. And the second one is like, con una palabra puedes derrumbar a una persona. La puedes poner en lo peor, indigna. Mentiras. Puedes destruir con una sola palabra a una persona. Now I listen that and feel like these two things is the one that represent now the Mr. King. Because it's like when persons say rumors, spread, it's so easy. You can stop it, but you have to have evidence to prove if this is real, and then take that. Now, when I come first, I was so nervous. Now I feel nervous because I was like, you're like represent the district, some people, some important. But at the same time, it's like you're the people that innocent to cruel and listen another things, but not listen what the kids need. The kids now is like almost the kids think Mr. K is sick or is in vacation. She's back, they say. The mothers, the parents, they speak Spanish like me. They never know something happened with Miss K. When I explain, they say, we never knew, because they never explained us something about what happened. We think it was la vacation for the principal because she was over there when we want to drop up the kids or pick up the kids. She always there with Mr. Jones. Now they don't see her. They say, maybe she's on vacation, maybe she's sick. The kids think too. You take something for the school, but you destroy something. Because now the school is a mess. I know Mr. Jones is doing a great job, but when you marry with a husband and wife, it's a partner. It's like family. You start with a family. When you take someone a part of your family, the family is not working. It's the same for the Santa Lucia school. If you take something, it's like destroy something. If you're doing the same. I feel that way. I don't know if I explain myself. I know I'm nervous to explain this, but I want to do this because it's the second time I come here and listen everything you say. I try to understand what is going on because it's too difficult for me. And other parents want to come to listen and try to understand why you take something to resolve something. It's like when you do that, when you take something when now the school is stopped because it's not principal there, they take decisions. It's not principal there when we want to do it another thing for the school because it's no one to take that decision. If you put in another one, it's like starting again because that people they know Santa Lucia. In this case, know Santa Lucia much better now. The Miss Kate know Miss Santa Lucia School now. Oh, okay. Yeah, I know. Sorry. I know it's my second time here. That's why I don't know the rules. That's why I come. But that's all I want to know. I want to explain. But if you take that decision, you have to listen to other people. Okay, thank you.
Is there any other members of the audience wishing to speak on something that is not on tonight's agenda?
I've known Mel, Miss K, for about 25 years and can speak to her integrity, compassion, and leadership. Mel was brought into my life as Miss Tam is, this inspirational, young, vivacious teacher at Greenfield High School. She was the mentor you sought life advice from. My junior year in high school, my mom passed away. And on the way home from burying her, my father was involved in a car accident, killing my one and only nephew. Mel rallied around me at a time that I needed it the most. Senior year, fell in love with my husband, got pregnant. Every teacher that I looked up to was very disappointed in me. I was throwing away my life for a child, right? Mel was the only one on that campus that stood beside me because guess what? She was pregnant as well. And together, she helped me get to graduation, and she was always a mentor in my life. When I moved to King City, I was nervous. Where do I put my kids at? There's so many different schools here. Greenfield doesn't have that option. And I didn't know where to put her. My brother, who was a teacher at Greenfield High School, was like, did you know Mel's gonna be the principal at Santa Lucia? And I was like, Kuchta? Really? No, I had no idea because I don't have anybody family-wise here to look after my daughter. So I enrolled her in Santa Lucia because I knew Mel was gonna be there. I knew she was gonna be safe, taken care of. I had an advocate for my child. I knew if I needed anything, Mel was a phone call away. I enrolled my daughter. Mel was a support system to her. To this day, Mel's been a support system to her. Enrolled her in Emily Tavernetti's class. That's who I chose for her teacher. And then Emily moved up to first grade to be teacher after her kindergarten year, so I got her there. My information at the office was breached because another teacher, Stephanie Carrillo, found out that I requested Emily Tavernetti as a teacher for my daughter for second grade. That information is supposed to be confidential. So there's other things you guys need to look into going on, but I want you guys to know the Mel Tamiz Kuchta that you see now is the same woman I've known for the last 25 years. Stand up, honest. She's an amazing woman, and no matter what happens, she's gonna land on her feet. She always has and she always will. Thank you.
Any other members of the audience wishing to speak on something that's not on the agenda?
Good evening, I'm Amy. I didn't have anything planned for tonight. I didn't know this was going on, but I have been at Santa Lucia for 3 years, and I have been able to work with Ms. K for those last 3 years. She has been an amazing principal, in my opinion, in my personal opinion, in my experience there. I work with the SEC department, and we do have a lot of challenges there. It's an awesome job for me, but those challenges, every time we would call her, she would always show up. Sometimes she would be in meetings, she would show up for us, even if it was to bring us chocolate milk, because one of our students needed chocolate milk, and that would calm her down. I didn't have anything planned today, but I have had a wonderful experience working with her. She's a great person. I've had my personal challenges at home with my daughter when she was hospitalized, any emergencies that I had going on. She would say, don't worry, your family is first. Everything is settled down here, don't worry. She would take her personal time of her day to contact me to see how my daughter was doing, and I don't think that just any boss out there does that. Sometimes, typically, we just call in and they're like, okay, if you're not showing up today, that's fine, we'll cover you, that's fine. But they won't take time out of their day to call you or message you to see how your daughter is doing. So I thought to me, that was awesome from her. And I'm sorry I didn't have anything planned today, but I just didn't want her to come up here and say a few words. And we do miss her. Mr. Jones is doing an awesome job. The school does feel different. But yeah, we love you, miss you. And I'm sorry, I don't have anything planned today, but thank you.
Is there any other members of the audience wishing to speak tonight?
I haven't had the chance to make it to the last 2 board member meetings just due to my travel. But the fact that this is the 3rd board meeting addressing this, it is very disappointing. I've known Mel at a personal and professional capacity for the past 4 years, ever since my daughter started school there from kindergarten. And from my experience, without being biased, she has been a pillar to the school and the community for King City. She has shown complete appreciation for everyone that works there, and she does her due diligence and goes above and beyond for everyone, not only her personal staff, but everyone part of the community. And to the fact that she was the one to nominate me as a board member last year, it is very disappointing and a hit to the gut, knowing the fact that this all unraveled, especially for the time frame of the season that it was. I just really hope that this gets taken care of in the rightful manner and she gets due process and due diligence as far as what has happened here. I wish to see her back. And not to take away from Mr. Jones, but he has done everything in his capacity to do everything he can. But like many have stated before, he's doing two jobs. And I just really wish the best for Miss K, and I know she'll keep her head high and keep on marching forward. Thank you.
Good evening. Most of you know me. My name is Missy Rodriguez. I worked for this district for 35 years, and it's very disappointing that our board has made a really unprofessional decision. Mel is not just the principal at San Lucia. I'm the oldest of 5, and she's my baby sister. I've always held so much pride in all my siblings, but Mel the most, because she was the youngest of us, and she took pride in everything she did. My dad always taught us, do the best, always. Not halfway, but do your best. When I retired, I was told by Jennifer, you don't know what you have until it's gone. And I know one thing, if Mel leaves, you've made a wrong decision, because she's the most dedicated person I've ever seen to her kids in the school, her parents, and most of all her staff. She supports them. But I want to say in closing that when people have evil plans, karma comes around sooner or later to those who do evil, always to good. It goes farther. And love people, it goes farther. So please, board members, everyone deserves a second chance. And please give Ms. Kuchta, my sister, a second chance, whether she did right or wrong. Everyone deserves a second chance. And your minds might be made up already, but please do the right thing. Each and every one of you. You're taking away so much from Santa Lucia and taking away from the kids that matter. Each and every one of us have been at this point sooner or later, and how much damage it has done, not only to the person, but her family and close friends around it. They love her and accept her. So in closing, please do the right thing. Thank you.
Is there any other members in the audience wishing to speak tonight during public comment? Having no further public comment, we're going to go ahead and close public comment and move on. Before we adopted today's agenda, we had made an amendment to it, and we moved board communication to right after the public comment. So we'll now go ahead and move on to the board communication. Board members?
Thank you. I don't know if Arlene's translating or not, but I have it. So I'm gonna read something that I wrote on behalf of myself. Doesn't represent anything with the board, but this is for myself. And I'm gonna read it in English and Spanish. It says, good evening and buenas tardes. I want to thank everyone who came out tonight and took the time to speak. Quiero agradecer a todos los que asistieron esta noche y compartieron sus comentarios. We recognize that there are strong feelings in our community and that it comes from caring deeply about our schools. Reconocemos que hay sentimientos fuertes en nuestra comunidad y eso nace del profundo cariño que tiene por nuestras escuelas. Our focus as a board remains steady, our students. Nuestro enfoque como mesa directiva sigue firme, nuestros estudiantes. Every decision we make is guided by what we believe will support their long-term success. Cada decisión que tomamos está guiada por lo que creamos que va a apoyar el éxito a largo plazo de nuestros estudiantes. Many people see the title board president but may not know the person behind that title. Muchas personas ven el título de presidenta de la mesa directiva, pero quizás no conocen a la persona detrás de ese título. She has served our district for many years with dedication and heart. Ella ha servido a nuestro distrito por muchos años con dedicación y corazón. She helped bring the dual language immersion program to our community, a program that continues to benefit our students today. Ella ayudó a traer el programa de inmersión de doble idioma a nuestra comunidad, un programa que continúa beneficiando a nuestros estudiantes hoy. Her commitment, like mine and like this entire board, is to do student success. Su compromiso, al igual que el mío y de toda esta mesa directiva, es el éxito estudiantil. We may not always see every situation the same way. Puede que no siempre veamos cada situación de la misma manera, but we are united in our responsibility to serve our students with care and thoughtfulness. Pero estamos unidos en nuestra responsabilidad de servir a nuestros estudiantes con cuidado y reflexión. Santa Lucia is part of my story. Santa Lucia es parte de mi historia. I was a student there. I worked there. I care deeply about the campus and its future. Yo fui un estudiante allí. Trabajé allí. Me importa profundamente el plantel y su futuro. And I will continue to work for the well-being and success of every child in this district. Y continuaré trabajando por el bienestar y el éxito de cada niño y niña en este distrito. Thank you y gracias.
Is there any other board members wanting to comment or share anything that's happened since the last meeting?
Yes, I would like to share a lot of different things. So I do want to start with saying that I'm usually a quiet person. People know that, but I know I have new people here. So usually I'm quiet, I don't say much, and I'm learning that I need to speak up more. And I have the last, I guess, this school year, I have been speaking a little bit more. I would like to apologize to the administrators for not thanking you guys for all that you do for the district. Because what was 2 weeks ago? Yes, 2 weeks ago, you guys gave us the report on how the school district is doing, and I didn't really speak much or ask any questions, and I do want to say thank you for all that you guys do and for sharing that information. And I know I need to work on that, so that's something I need to work on my part. And I also know what it feels like when you don't get thanked for what you are doing. The next thing I do want to say is I haven't been able to go to the school sites because I'm also a teacher, so I have to work with students and I can't be pulled out. The times that I did try, I ended up getting sick, so I couldn't actually visit during that week. So I did visit the school sites today. I did take time off, and what I've noticed in every school site is I did notice everyone was doing pretty well. Like not that I'm there to observe or anything, but I enjoyed going and seeing the students, talking to some of them. Some of them did come up to me and try to ask me, especially in the dual language immersion in English, like, why am I there? And I had to explain to them in Spanish why I was there. So it was nice getting to talk to the lower grades because I teach 6th grade. I mostly saw the lower grades in the elementary because I didn't have enough time to walk around everywhere. In middle school, I focused more in science, I believe, and history, because the other classrooms were probably testing and I didn't want to interrupt during that time. So I will try to make some time to go another time next month so that I get a chance to see all of the classrooms. Give me a second, because I wrote some notes. I think that's pretty much it. Oh, also, thank you to the administrators that walked with me. I know you guys had to get out of your office or anything that you guys had to do, so I do want to say thank you and sorry again, because I told you guys in person, for walking around with me and so I can visit the classrooms.
No comment from me at this time.
Same. Well, because the unification meeting, you're gonna go ahead and report on that. Yeah. Okay. No. Yeah.
I forgot one thing.
So we'll go ahead and,
Hold on, I forgot one more thing. Sorry, I got to go also to the ELOP classroom, sorry. I forgot about that one. And I did enjoy seeing all the activities that the students were doing and them explaining what they were doing. So it was art and I forgot what it's called right now, but what Tressa does, what does she do? Yeah, like crocheting. So all of those classes, thank you again for allowing me to see what your students are doing.
okay, we'll go ahead and we will close board communication and move on to the superintendent's report.
Since we moved it around on the agenda, there was a second piece. Do you want to address that now or later on the interview panel for scholarships?
Did you guys go ahead and, they already submitted their names, right? So you just need the people to interview?
So I had already sent the names. There's 6 individuals that the 3 of you both agreed upon. So I submitted 6 names.
And now you need the people to interview.
I had fun doing it last year, so if nobody wants to do it, I can be one of them.
What date was that again?
Tuesday. Oh, no.
That was me. Sorry.
Monday, February 9th.
I would have my calendar with me. I guess not. Have you had an opportunity to go, or?
Yes, I went.
Okay, you did go last year.
Yes,
It was all 3 of us.
it was all 3 of us.
Because we were the newbies, that's why.
Okay.
If both of you. I believe I should be able to on the 23rd, so yes. I can't look at my calendar because it's on my phone.
Would everything be over there, or do we pick up the packet here? Because Terry took it last time, but if we have to come pick it up, I can swing by. Alrighty.
Okay, so moving on to superintendent's report. So this week, we have elementary parent conferences starting tomorrow at all 3 elementary sites, and then it'll be over at Shalom Peaks next week. This evening, I wanted to take a chance to go back and highlight some of those things that Trustee Madrigal mentioned from 2 weeks ago that we shared as our LCAP mid-year update. And those were highlights of things that have happened here in the district, successes we've had, whether it be this year or over time. So some of the things that were shared were our HR department shared that we're fully staffed. We started this year fully staffed with the exception of our music and elementary art teachers. And also our number of fully credentialed teachers has increased. We were excited to hear about our nutrition program, that healthy fruit and snack program that started at KCAM last year, expanded to Santa Lucia this year, and we're hoping to also get the grant to add on Delray next year. And then also the fact that we've been able to add some new menu items. Our nutrition services department has tasting sessions with the middle school, and the students are able to select new items that start appearing on the menus. For the 3rd year in a row as a district, we have not qualified for what the state refers to as differentiated assistance due to our continued improved performance on our dashboard indicators. Our long-term English learners have outperformed the state with 57.6% of them making progress versus 49% at the state level. Our redesignated students continue to outperform our English-only students in English language arts and math. And then was it just last Friday, I believe, is when we were able to go to our Bright Spots celebration, which is recognition through the Bright Futures program. And what Bright Futures does is they look at the data from 2021-22 through 24-25, and they're looking for schools throughout the county whose subgroups that they are have identified are performing above the county average, consistently growing from year to year with never declining more than 2%. Then they they're looking at the equity gaps, and those are the groups that they're comparing. So for us as a district, as shared 2 weeks ago, KCAM was recognized in 3 categories when we went to this celebration. Those were within the area of English language arts. And at 5th grade, they're all students category. They're students with our economic disadvantaged students and our students with parent education levels of high school or lower. Between those 3 different groups, their growth exceeded the county average by anywhere from 11.4% to 29.4%, depending on which category we're talking about. And over the 4 years that were analyzed, KCAM experienced anywhere from 28.25% of growth to 45.45% growth. Over at Santa Lucia, there were 4 categories within English language arts that they were recognized for. In 5th grade, our students with economically disadvantaged youth scored 10.39% higher than the county average. In 4th grade, 3 of our student groups scored anywhere from 3.4% to 10.4% higher. And over the 4 years, their improvement was anywhere from 4.77 to 18% higher. I know that's a lot of numbers, but it's pretty exciting. At Shalom Peaks, 7th grade math for our homeless population outperformed the county by 5.35% and has grown by 11.9% over those same 4 years. As I mentioned 2 weeks ago, while unfortunately Delray was not able to be recognized last week because, again, you couldn't have a year where you slipped more than 2%, and we did have a cohort group that went through Delray, and so when they hit 4th grade, they slipped, and when they hit 5th grade, they slipped. And so unfortunately, Delray wasn't eligible. However, this past year, when you compared all of 4th grade subgroups that were being monitored to the county, Delray also outperformed the county average at 4th grade in all the subgroups that they were monitoring. Our chronic absenteeism continues to decrease. Our family and parent events are expanding. Our ELP programs are growing. So in addition to these successes, in my 4 years as superintendent, our team of over 350 employees has accomplished so much. We have significantly expanded our student services department to include family and community services, with multiple opportunities for parent engagement and attendance at district-wide events that have exceeded well over 1,000 people. We've added a liaison to each school. We've increased student wellness support with enhanced counseling, behavior support, and nutrition programs. Teacher retention is stabilizing, with many of the positions being filled by our homegrown talent, professionals that were born and raised in King City, who, just as I did over 30 years ago, are returning to serve their community, the community that supported them, and dedicate their careers to the next generation. We've implemented a teacher support system that values feedback and collaboration on instructional decision and planning, including extensive work focused on standards-based learning. We've prioritized fiscal solvency, and we've secured the district's physical future by passing 2 more bonds. We've installed cameras throughout the district, updated our infrastructure, and just completed our first major construction project this past fall and on time over at our KCAM campus. Just another shout out, anyone that's interested in being in the Citizen Bond Oversight Committee, check the website. We launched our dual language immersion program, and as shared earlier, we're continuing to see those increases in student achievement. When I stepped into the role of superintendent, I shared my commitment to a 4-year tenure and was honest and transparent that at the end of 4 years, my family and I would begin considering an early retirement. The role of superintendent comes with many challenges, great responsibility, often a perceived role of authority. And while a superintendent's not a voting member of a governance team, I am a member of the team, and I am accountable for implementing the decisions of the team. I came into this position holding strong to my integrity, my strong values around professionalism, respect, and compassion for others, whether it be the staff, our team, our parents, and above all, our students. And I do intend to complete my career with that same dedication. As I fulfill that commitment and approach the end of my 4th year as superintendent and 33rd year as an educator in King City, I have made the difficult decision to retire at the conclusion of the 25-26 school year. As I've said from my first year as superintendent and our celebratory kickoff to the new school year, I believe that we all play a part in igniting the potential for our students. I know that our King City Union School District staff will continue to hold on to that belief, and I thank you for trusting me and allowing me to serve my home community. Thank you.
Any questions or comments?
No, pretty much. I've had the opportunity to work with you in different capacities as my director of special education services. So thank you for all your time and your hard work here for our district.
I think that from the get-go, I said that you did a lot of different things that were possibly long overdue in King City, so I will forever be grateful for everything that you did come and challenge and changed. So thank you for all your work.
I do want to say thank you. I mean, you were part of the panel that hired me as a teacher. You did support me in many ways. So I do want to say thank you for all that you have done for the district.
Thank you so much for all your hard work, dedication, and commitment to this district. I have so much more I could say that I would rather say offline to you personally. But here with everybody else, I know that your unwavering commitment to our children, starting from teacher and going up the chain, hasn't been easy. But I personally appreciate you, the time I've been here on the board and as a newcomer and all the questions I've had, all the struggles I've had in this new role. Now you truly opened my eyes in how great of a responsibility this truly is. And I came in being part of this board as the, honest and most transparent person you will know. So I thank you for taking the time to listen, to open your door. Anytime anybody, at least from the board, has needed it, you have been there to listen to our concerns. So I greatly appreciate that. And again, there would be so much more I could say, but I'd rather say it to you in person. But on behalf of all of us, thank you. Thank you for all these years of service to our district, and we wish you the best.
Okay, we'll go ahead and we will move on to reports from administrators. Is there any reports from any of the administrators that you would like to ask questions or make comments on?
Just really quick, is Ida here? Oh, okay. Just really quick, you had put on your report in regards to elementary students having the opportunity to try a new breakfast menu item, which is arroz con leche. So is that still a go, or what's going on with that one? It says on the 20th.
Yes. So I'm going to be there at 5 o'clock in the morning to just take pictures and videotape him as he's making arroz con leche for the students. And we're going to see how that goes. If it goes well, the students accept it, then we're going to push it out to the other sites.
I know that there's a lot of restrictions, you could say, on what it is that we do give our kids. So is this made like with arroz, or is this going to be like regular arroz, or is this like the wheat or brown rice, or how is it called, brown rice? Is it going to have to be like a special kind of arroz con leche?
No, it's going to be with white rice and something that's approved by the USDA. So we're going to try that out. We're going to cut back some of the ingredients that it has in it and use a lot
That's
of
the best part.
Agreed. Agreed. But we'll see how it turns out, and I'll let you guys know. And I'll send over some pictures as well. So.
And the response from the kids,
and
their
response from the
reactions.
kids,
If it's
yes.
like an ugly face reaction or a good reaction.
I'll be there in the morning to make sure I take pictures of the students' reactions. And I know I didn't put the date that I was going to have the taste test. I was actually waiting for Angel, and she agreed to it. So it's going to be this Friday as well. I do have a sales rep that's going to come down and introduce some of her new product that she has. So I'm looking forward to that. About, what's it, Angel, like 1:30, 2 o'clock? So we'll be going over to CPMS and tasting some food. You guys are welcome to stop by.
Is there any other questions or comments that you have for the administrators or the report submitted?
Nothing.
No? No. Okay, we'll go ahead and we will move on to the consent agenda. Is there any items that anybody would like to have pulled and discussed separately? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve consent agenda as presented.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. On to action items. Action item A, consideration and action of unconditional commitment letter under Government Code Section 54960.2C. The board is considering approval of an unconditional commitment letter. The board received a letter alleging violations of the Ralph M. Brown Act. The board asserts that no violations of the Brown Act have occurred. The substantial text of this letter comes from the Brown Act and is being considered in order to avoid unnecessary litigation and without admitting any violation of the Brown Act. The board remains committed to following the Brown Act. So I'll now entertain any questions or comments. If not, I'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
I move to approve action item A, consideration and action of unconditional commitment letter under Government Code Section 54960.2C1.
I second.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Action item B, approval of CSBA board policy updates, second reading.
Okay, so this was brought to you in our previous meeting. Again, there are some updates that by law need to be taken effect by March, so we had a very short time frame. They're primarily the board policy around response to immigration enforcement. So this is your second reading and brought to you for your approval.
Is there any questions or comments for action item B? Having no comments or questions, we'll go ahead and bring it back to the board for.
I move to approve action item B, approval of CSBA board policy update, second reading.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to action item C, approval of ballot vote for CSBA delegate Region 10.
Okay. So as you see from the cover sheet, this is approval for the vote for your CSBA delegate, Veronica Miramontes from the Monterey Peninsula Unified School District. She's the incumbent and the only applicant listed, but still requires your vote for a 2-year term.
Any questions or comments? Having none, I'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
To approve action item C, approval of the ballot vote for CSBA delegate Region 10 for Veronica Miramontes.
I second.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay. Action item D, approval of retainer agreement with Wilner and O'Reilly Immigration Lawyers.
Approval is for the district to engage with Wilner and O'Reilly as immigration lawyers to help us through the green card process for some of our H-1B staff. And at this time, it's just the agreement with them. There are no staff members being up for green card submissions at this point. That would be the next step in the process.
Okay. Any questions or comments? So there's like not a set number of how many individuals we're talking about here? No. Okay. Okay. Any other questions or comments? No. Okay, go ahead. Do you have a question or comment?
Carlos Victoria, classified employee. I just have a question. I was reading through the
letter, and it's specific about certificated employees. What happened to classify? Question.
Currently, at this time, HR does not have a problem filling positions with U.S. citizens in the classified unit. So this is just for our hard-to-fill positions where we cannot get, we cannot hire in those positions. So the positions that I'm asking, or that we will be looking at this point in time anyway, is for our certificated staff, teachers that we cannot fill otherwise.
Is there any other questions or comments?
Quick question and just clarification on that. Like, for example, down the road, like, what about for like, with the current situation that we're currently living, what about our DACA recipients at any point? Is that even a possibility?
This is only for our H-1B.
Yeah, I get this one,
J1.
yeah.
If people have a green card, this doesn't impact them. This is just to attempt to retain employees that we already have. I'm sure you guys have all heard getting an H-1B to come into the country today is $100,000 per head per year. The district cannot support that. So to be able to maintain the staff that we have that are on H-1Bs and potentially transition some of those to green cards is much less than that. We're looking at probably $5,000 per person, $5,000 to $7,000 per person versus $100,000 per person per year for the hard-to-fill positions.
And again, this was something, to my understanding, that was brought forth because we were having such difficulty recruiting here locally, or even as we were putting it out, we just weren't getting applicants to come in, was my understanding for a while.
We have a very hard time. The majority of our H-1B staff right now are special ed teachers. We also have PE, science, language arts. It's not to say that all of those positions will be presented for potential green cards, because there is quite an extensive qualification. If we reach out and get applicants that are qualified in the U.S., we would not be able to get green cards for those positions.
Any other questions or comments? We have none. I'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
Move to approve action item D, approve a retainer agreement with Wilner and O'Reilly Immigration Lawyers.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to, thank you, Wendy. We'll go ahead and move on to action item E, approval of resolution 2025-26, 10, acceptance of the Golden Ticket Donation Program from Taylor Farms.
This item is brought back to you. We discussed it briefly at our January board meeting, and it is the incentive program that Taylor Farms is sponsoring. It's one of many programs that they are implementing to try and help increase the literacy level of our students by third grade, so that all of our third grade students in our county are readers, fluent readers at third grade. So they've supported some teacher professional development programs. They're now investing in parent education at birth to 5 years old. So again, this is just one of many of the things that they are supporting. So as a refresher, this is what they refer to as the Golden Ticket Donation Program. And what it does is it provides a financial incentive for every third grader that scores at proficient in English language arts on the CASP. Now, they did just reach out to us last week to let us know that they now are also including the standardized Spanish assessment at third grade. So as our DLI students move forward, if that is something that we choose to do, which is administrate both the CASP, because we have to administer the CASP, we don't have an option. But if we also choose to administer the Spanish assessment to measure their proficiency in Spanish, that is also something that can be recognized through this program. So it's just a recent addition they've added on. For us to participate in this program, we do have the resolution that is attached that would require your approval. And the students would be recognized. They take the test in third grade, so they're recognized at the beginning of fourth grade. And the intent is that the assembly, obviously in the celebration, and at kinder through third grade, you're a part of those assemblies, so you see what you have to potentially look forward to and work towards.
Any questions or comments?
So the reason why I was kind of wanting to wait on voting was more because I had certain questions, like for example, which you will answer after, is for students with IEPs, we are aware that many of them will not reach, what is it? I can't think. Proficiency. So my question was, what about the students with IEPs? You can answer that, and then I'll ask the other questions.
And so again, the only thing that this particular incentive that Taylor Farms is supporting, the only thing that they're recognizing is students that score at proficient at third grade only.
And then my other questions were, how are parents going to be involved in this?
So along with the assemblies, lots of communication home to the families, so it would be regular ongoing part of what's discussed each year so that families know that this is coming up. And if you partner that with some of the other education that we're doing with our parents on how they can help with help their children, that would be the intent.
And the last question was, will students be told before they take the test about this incentive? And the reason why I was asking all these questions is because of I'm a teacher, so I know how it is with students with IEPs, and I don't want them to feel like, oh, they're never going to reach or get that incentive. So I'm very much aware of that. So, but then I'm also in a position where if I vote no, then I remove that incentive for other students that could possibly need it for their families. So I'm kind of in between where I'm not sure. I've thought about it since I had the meeting with Jennifer Taylor and asked these questions just to look into it. So that's what makes it a little bit hard for me to vote yes, but then also vote no. So it's very complicated for me right now because as a teacher, I have to think about those students that I know do struggle academically. And it doesn't mean they're not capable. They are. I've had many students with an IEP that improve academically on the state test. So that's why I kind of had those questions and I wasn't sure how to vote last time we brought this up.
No, I appreciate you sharing all that because I was in a similar situation, not necessarily with the removal of the incentive and what it could do for the student and the family, but more of that type of incentive being something, and I don't want to say like not promoting it because it's an incentive, so it's supposed to be for the good, but you know, what it could also bring as far as a negative impact for like the students that might not be, you know, being proficient. Does it send a subliminal message to them, even though we're not intending to send a message? So anytime that there's like money tied as an incentive for performance and education or academics, I kind of have a hard time for it, you know, but I understand where you're coming from, Wendy, so just so that you know, it's a little bit challenging for me too, as far as that being the incentive and just sending the wrong message, not meaning to, but yeah, I understand you. Any other inputs or anybody else wanting to share? So I'll just bring it back to the board for a motion.
I move to approve action item E, approve of resolution 2025-2610, acceptance of the golden ticket donation program from Taylor Farms. Aye.
No. With that, we move on to information items and our unification update.
Okay. So you've heard us talk about the potential unification for several months now. And Vina and I have recently attended the second meeting of what I've been calling the subcommittee at the county level, which is made up of the three superintendents, Greenfield Union School District, South Monterey County Joint Union High School District, and King City Union School District, our county superintendent of schools, the three board presidents of those districts, counsel, legal counsel for each, and then a representative, the chair of the County Committee on School Reorganization. So again, as a quick recap, Greenfield community has been pursuing unification with Greenfield High School for about 10 years now. And at this past November, at the State Board of Education meeting, the State Board of Education ruled for the decision on whether or not that unification could go forward, come back to the county level, and that the county committee work with all three districts to come up with a plan for how to move forward. So that's what these meetings have been about. And at these meetings so far, there have been a few things that have been covered. The meetings have looked at the planning timelines as well as scheduling several meetings between now and April, because a plan must be submitted to the state by May 1st to be on their agenda for their July meeting, which is what the state has directed them to do as far as timeline. So far the committee has looked at, if this were to proceed, how would the new governing board be elected? How many members would be on the new governing board for unified districts? The decision at the moment, the recommendation is that we continue with 5-member governing boards. Again, these are all recommendations, not final decisions. That the election of the governing board and whether or not we actually do unify would be on the same ballot. And the first question would be about unification, and it's at that point, this again is assuming that the state board has approved that this moves forward. It's at the point that it goes before the voters. The voters ultimately decide yes or no whether or not unification would proceed. And then the election of the new governing board members for those new governing boards. You then would have a window of time from at that point until when unification actually happens. Some of the timelines have been thrown out there would be the election of March of 2028 with an implementation of new districts with the 29-30 school year. So you have a window of time between an election and when the new school district would open, where you have multiple governing boards working, because our district would still be operating, and then you'd have the new unified board, and that new unified board has to then go down the road of negotiations with the bargaining units, setting salaries, hiring for positions if needed, reducing positions, which there are restrictions on what can be reduced immediately, what might be reduced over time, as well as obviously lots of decisions in regards to financial impact, property, for example. So this evening, we've asked our attorney, we do have legal representation, and so last month you approved our contract with, our expansion of our contract with the firm DWK that represents us in our bond measure. And this evening, we have our legal counsel, William Tunick, is here, and we asked him to come to be able to speak with you further, speak with our community further, and give us some of his thoughts, what he sees, and help us understand how this process might proceed. So William, I'll let you take it from there.
Great. So, thank you. It's good to be here. Nice to meet all of you. As the superintendent mentioned, the district has asked us to represent the district in this process, both to help provide information to you and to the community, and also to participate in the discussions with the other school districts and the county office as this process moves forward. I've been involved in a number of these reorganizations, and what I can tell you is that none of them are the same. All of these very much depend on the communities that they're in. In this case, we have multiple communities involved, and there's always different issues in these things, and to be honest, they take a while. And this is obviously no different. Just to kind of give you some context here, at I think it was the county committee meeting this last 2 weeks ago, the attorney for the county council, who I know has been doing this for a very long time and has worked across the state, one of the county board members asked her if she had ever seen anything like this unification process where it is right now, and she essentially said no, that this is even unique among what everybody has seen across the state. And so I think that just goes to the need to really have a deliberate approach to considering what the impacts of this is not only going to be on the Greenfield community, where a lot of the emphasis has been to date, but also on the King City community. And when talking to the superintendent, I think coming into this at this point in the process, what I've noticed is it's almost like there's been a train that's been kind of gathering momentum for 10 years as Greenfield has moved through this. And I know there's a lot of reasons, a lot of interest in doing it. And then at the November state board meeting, the state board essentially said, we really like this to be a King City thing as well, and essentially brought you on board that train that was already moving at full speed down the track. And I think we're trying to get our hands and get the county committee and the other districts to realize that this is now not only just about the impact on one community, but the impact on at least two communities, and what are the potential concerns and other things that we need to make sure that are not going to have impacts on this district and this community going forward. There's a lot of things that reorganizations of a district, because you're not only talking about changes in potentially some programs, but you're talking changes in organizations and people, funding, facilities, all kinds of different things that get wrapped up in reorganizations. I think the primary ones here, as the superintendent kind of alluded to, is some personnel pieces and compensation, not necessarily compensation, just financial pieces that are hard to always predict in the future. And so I think what we're going to be looking at as I move forward with the district on this process is making sure that we're protecting the district going forward. We want to be good neighbors, we want to be good partners as this moves forward, but we also want to make sure that this process is about both communities and both unifications, not so much one over the other, which is, I think, kind of just because of the way that this initiated, that's really been more of the discussion, at least from what I've seen so far. So that's what we're going to be doing. I think, as Superintendent mentioned, these working groups or subcommittee meetings will be continuing over the next few weeks. Myself and the attorneys for the other districts are going to be a little bit more involved as we move forward, as we start getting into the nitty-gritty of what actually might occur. And then that would go to the county committee actually first, which is also the County Board of Education in this case. They have to make, actually it was interesting at the last meeting, one of their board members specifically asked, basically, why is the state board making this our problem? I'm paraphrasing, but well, not by much actually, I think he almost said that. And essentially what the attorney said is, under the Ed Code, and there's, again, this provision we don't get very often, there's an ability for the state board to provide direction to a county committee to provide plans and recommendations on reorganizations, which is the general term for any sort of thing like this, of school districts in the county. And in this case, the state board essentially authorized that authority back in November when they directed the county committee to do this. So in a sense, the state board basically kicked it back to the county and said, you figure it out, bring us a plan so that we can approve or disapprove next year. So they made it the county committee's problem. And I think the county committee's hope is that the districts can work together to figure out the parameters for what that plan would look like so that they can approve it and send it up to the state board. And then, as the superintendent mentioned, there would be an election. When that is, could depend on several factors, and so we don't know that yet. But obviously, kind of in the middle of that process, and so wanted to provide that update tonight, just kind of my perspective coming into this, and see if there's any questions from the board that I could answer, any other information I can share.
So we have heard time and time again how unification has happened in other areas and they have succeeded. But you just mentioned right now that on your previous meeting, they had said, well, that person had said, well, I haven't encountered one like this one. Is that in regards to because of our feeding districts that makes it different compared to other unifications, or where do you think that thought process came from?
No, I think there's two things here that are a little bit unique, and they're related. One is the dual unification that's going on. We've started one unification petition. So the idea was originally just to unify Greenfield, and that has become two unifications. So the idea that you've got two of these going on at the same time doesn't happen very often. Also, in my experience, and I think the other attorneys would say the same thing, generally speaking, where you see elementary school or union or elementary districts unifying, it's because it's the elementary school that is looking to unify, essentially to usually either build or control a high school. So essentially what Greenfield's motivation is, you see that across the state. That's pretty common. You don't usually see sort of the opposite thing happening, where it's that the impetus for that unification is not coming from the elementary school district, but from some other reason, which is essentially what you have here.
I would like for them to know too, we had briefly talked about, you had mentioned voting dates and all that, and it's just how, and I'll bring it up again, it's just how, we know it's going to happen, and we haven't been asking for it to be pushed back 10, 20 years. It's going to happen. But obviously, we know the financial issues, the burdens that the district has had, and trying to aim more for the 2030. Right now, I believe on the books they're trying to aim for 2028 so far, to my understanding, is they're trying to aim for the 2028 election, yet they don't pay off their loan and all that till 2029, when this should be kicking off. So my thing, obviously, because you all are meeting and trying to put all your ducks in a row, is just really trying to convey the importance of, can we, even if we're not asking for too much, instead of 2028, moving this over to 2030, and you are done paying that part, and at least that burden will be taken care of before moving on forward. So I just wanted to ensure that we do have knowledge of, once this is all said and done, like, this is our game plan of what we're presenting over on this meeting, and to see if they're in agreement with it, and if they would actually I don't want to say that they want to be persuaded or convinced, but just see how this would benefit both, well, actually all three, because we're talking about the high school possibly being alone, us, and Greenfield. So just the benefits it would have for all three of these districts.
Yeah, I think when it comes to timing, so there's a couple of things. The effective date of a unification can't occur until the January 1 following the election. So that's always going to be essentially a year behind the election date. So when you're talking about election dates, generally the county office is going to prefer even years, because the election costs are cheaper if they run on election, and also you get more turnout in those elections than you do if you do a special in 27 or 29. So I think there's a couple of options there, but as you bring up, we've also got the iBank loan that's sitting out there that I believe is not going to be paid off. I think the final payment is in 29, so that may be a reason to look at something past that. That's a little bit in the hands of the high school district to some extent, so we've got to have that negotiation. But I think these are all points that we can bring back to the group now that we're kind of getting up to speed on this, or I'm getting up to speed on anyway, and raise those points and see if we can move that forward. Because I think ultimately they just want to know that it's going to happen. I mean, from the Greenfield perspective is my sense. Whether or not it's a timing thing, I think that's something we can talk about. And I think just to provide some context, I know they've already talked a little bit about election dates. This thing is sort of, I think coming out of that State Board of Education meeting, this thing took a sharp left turn. And then really sped up pretty quickly. So I think it's fair for us to come in and say, you know what, we want to be good partners, but we also need to take a little bit of time and make sure that we've got a full understanding of how this is going to impact our community, and here's some of the concerns and things that we're thinking about. How can we incorporate this into the plan? And the timing is going to be a big one of those.
Any other questions or comments? Audience? I mean, I sit on this committee, so I'm pretty up to date with the information, and I agree. I feel like, if I'm honest, it's more of just a dog and pony show. Like, it's already a done deal. We're just showing up, and basically the three districts are being told more or less of the time frame. I do think that maybe we can throw in another, suggestion on dates, and I think because ultimately it would benefit. The idea of waiting a couple more years ideally would be to benefit all three districts, but at least two of the three right now, I don't see, and that would be us in the high school, wouldn't be necessarily opposed to it. Obviously, one, we're being dragged into something that's already in action, and then two, the high school was also just dragged into it. They didn't ask for it, but because they're the ones that are sitting in limbo, depending on which way this goes, they're the ones that possibly have the most negative impact. But throwing up, that extension of dates, I don't think would hurt us at this point. It's like you said, we kind of came into this discussion late, and since we've been involved, even you mentioned it yourself, that there's been very little conversation about us and the impact it has for us. And I mean, that's significant if you're coming in to represent us and you're even shocked about how little we've been included in this kind of movement. So ideally, I'm not against the 2030 vote, and then that would push, the start of the unified district to the 2030-31 year. But that's also just allowing that vote to happen so that both communities decide. That's just my 2 cents. So does anybody else want to share their input? No?
Yes, so I think there may be a question about whether or not it's one or two separate elections. The county's position so far is it should be one, but I think both would have to occur at the same time. If for no other reason, then I think the law requires it. I think you'd also have some logistical issues if you had offset elections and we didn't know exactly what was going on with the second one. So I'm pretty sure it has to be all at the same time.
Okay, is there any other questions or comments? No? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, everyone.
See, our next regular board meeting is Tuesday, March 10th. As of now, the board is going to go back into closed session. Is there any other announcements? No? Thank you for joining us.